This season we start off at Brands Hatch on the short circuit. We then go to Thruxton.
And then Mallory Park, Oldham Park,
Mondello Park. Then we go to Croft.
Knockhill, then Snetterton,
Silverstone.
Cadwell Park.
back to Oldham Park.
Donington.
And then we finish the season at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit. Paul was the first one, which we had back in the Phil Giles days. Glen Richards, I thought's been here long enough. Brucey, a New Zealander, he wants to hang upside down all the while. Dean Thomas, my other rider, came over with Glen originally. Steve, my son, he's doing pretty good. Johnny T, he's our engine builder. Roy jumped on the team with us. Lee works for me Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. Frank and Kim, the lorry drivers, they're both tyre people. Tina, she's one of the brolly dollies, she enjoys that bit. My wife, she just likes work really. I'm trying to slow her down at the moment.
We've been supplied with video cameras to do video diaries basically. As a run up to each round. I'm sitting here on my motorhome trying to relax at the moment. But it looks like I've got to do my video diary again. To just take them everywhere we go really.
The ambitions of myself and the lads is doing World Superbike, and we'll keep striving to get onto that podium.
Glen decided to chuck it down the road. It's a fairly low speed of 147 miles per hour, the data logging told us, so I was expecting the bike to come back in a wheelbarrow.
He went quick straight away, actually went straight out and got to some good times, but then he slipped off. I think the back end came around on him.
I crashed on, when was it, Friday? But first one I've had since, I don't know, August last year I think, so that's pretty good for me really.
We've always threatened to go really well here. We first rode the ZX-10s here last year and we're fairly happy. We practiced here a few weeks ago, tried some things that didn't work, so we came and knew what we didn't want to be using. So we're fingers crossed really. 5th and 10th I've got to be reasonably happy with. We need to make good starts, keep out of trouble for a few laps as always, and you know, we'll be there at the end.
Exciting times, Mike, exciting times. That's what it's all about, life on the edge.
Struggling just a tad with speed. We're fitting them with all sorts of horrible sticky substances to try and get them glued onto the rims.
Dean worked real hard. In fact, Glen had to do a bit of a do or die towards the end to get past Dean. I honestly believe that somewhere along the line we're going to get some podiums now from now on.
Right, here we are. This is where we find out the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. The main purpose of using the dyno is to measure your horsepower and torque. It's essentially it's a comparator, so you can compare one engine with another, and we look to try and keep all the conditions as near the same as possible. You watch me fluff this now. Just double checking the number of rivets on the chain between the two timing marks that I've already marked on the scribed onto the cam sprockets. To make power you need a mixture of fuel and air, particularly oxygen, to burn inside the engine. So it's important for us to always try and maintain positive pressure in the airbox and sufficient volume so that the air that the engine draws in isn't creating a vacuum in the airbox. Crashed Stuart's bike on the ramp. Yeah. because we're going to be doing 150 mile an hour in a minute standing still. This tyre is obviously called John. Obviously important to get this lined up correctly, otherwise I'll be choking in a little while. So on this screen I can monitor all the necessary engine parameters while I'm on the dyno from this one screen. Looking good. I just need to compare that with previous results now, but the numbers look okay. That's it, done for the day. Good result, and I'm knackered.
This is my first day now. For 11 years not working at Mallory Park. I gave my notice in a few weeks ago, and I've decided to give the team hopefully the big push sponsorship wise that we need to do. You know, people keep asking me, are we going World Superbike, what are we doing in this country? And the answer is really it's all down to sponsors. Certainly we will be here running superbikes in this country, but also we may have some superbikes out in the world. But this really is down to backers, because, you know, unfortunately you just cannot run superbikes without a reasonable amount of money. I've got a real good team of lads around me that are real hard grafters, and I'm sure that with this elusive amount of money that I keep talking about, we can put Hawk and Kawasaki, or maybe another manufacturer, one never knows, right at the top of the tree. Yeah, so I'm just watching the cricket as well now behind the camera, and I'm hoping that we're 190 for 6. I'm sure the Australians are not going to knock that many this afternoon in the last 3 hours, so for once I don't want Australians to win.
10th race of the season, we're at Cadwell Park.
Cadwell Park, which is probably the most picturesque and daunting circuit of all circuits that we go to.
Cadwell is like a picturesque circuit. It's like quite up and down. Very narrow track and difficult to pass in places, so you need to get out the gate quick and be there with the leaders. Very tight.
Cadwell didn't go too bad. We had a little bit of a problem in qualifying, like we had an engine actually give us a bit of a problem right at the crucial moment. We just put a qualifying tyre in, second qualifying, and one of the engines went a bit sad, so we just suddenly throw him on his number 2 bike, and he did well on that actually. He bet his time, but ended up just on the 3rd row, I think it was, so he was a little bit disappointed with that, but it's the way it goes sometimes. It was better the engine gave the trouble then, not in the race, you know.
Bit of a struggle yesterday with qualifying, a few things went wrong, but reasonably happy, I have to say.
We're 5th on the grid, so, and Dean's 9th. Good qualifying session.
Here we are, Cadwell Park. Sunday night. Cadwell Park, it's bank holiday Monday we're racing on, so it was a little bit weird being Sunday night, and we've only just finished qualifying.
It's a long weekend around this time. So we practice on Saturday, qualify on Sunday, race on Monday.
I think it's going to be a pretty good day tomorrow, really. We've had a good day today, really. We've qualified 5th.
Today I seem to just try too hard for qualifying. You know, I just pushed too hard in the first sessions and just seemed to be making mistakes left, right, and centre, and just, I don't know, too eager, I suppose.
Me and Dean seem to be running very, very similar setups. We've done the same sort of thing with the suspension, and our bikes are almost identical now.
For the second session, just had a bad run really. Just had trouble with the bike just playing up a bit when I was on my first qualifying tyre and causing me some problems. And then the second qualifying tyre was held up with some red flags and just you know, got held up in the third one with a bit of traffic, and yeah, it's one of those days really.
I'm trying to get a good night's sleep. We're out at 9:30 in the morning, so it was a bit too early for me, 9:30, to be zooming around on a motorbike for morning warm-up. So I prefer to be out at 10:30 or 11 for morning warm-up. 9:30 is crazy.
All in all, for Cadwell Park, you can't really complain, I have to say. It's quite good. Let's see what happens.
Try and keep out the way of all the young fellas, because there's a few young fellas around on the front couple of rows, so they're all going to be out to make a name for themselves. So be a little bit careful of the young fellas, and see if we can be out there at the end and have a good result. Cheers.
Podium. It's got to be a podium.
The story so far at Cadwell is qualifying didn't go quite to plan where we want to end up, but the good news is we've got a real good pace on race tyres, so I'm looking forward to the race if it stays dry. Final qualification didn't go as we had liked, but we were happy with the race setup, which is the good thing. The forecast this morning was dry, and now it's clouded over, so I'm hoping that the people that forecast it were right. And I think if it does, you know, we've got a good chance for a podium today if it stops dry. The truth of the matter is, Richards has got a big monk on because England won the test.
It's quite a tight track, this one, and it's a little bit hard to get past sometimes. So I'm starting 9th on the grid. It's going to make it a little bit harder, but as long as my starts are reasonable, there's no reason why I can't be running up the front. So fingers crossed it'll all go well.
It's a super track. I mean, it's very, very demanding. I mean, I've not ridden here since the very late 70s, and things were a lot slower then. I have to say, I can't envisage how quick it must be on a superbike. It's the most demanding circuit we've got in this country. Great layout, but you know, we need a few modifications here and there. If it only be it needs to be wider for a start. But it's a super track to ride. You know, you're not only racing against your competitor, you're actually competing against the circuit.
Cadwell Park's probably one of the most technical tracks in the British Championship. It's only a really narrow circuit, and it's up and down and all over the place. I mean, we actually get off the ground at one stage over what they call the mountain section, where you know the bikes are getting sort of a foot off the ground, which is, I think that's probably, other than an Isle of Man TT, it's probably the only race in one in the world really that that does that type of thing. But it's a demanding track. You know, it's a really demanding and tight, twisty track, and to ride on, it's probably one of the most fun circuits to ride on, but to race on, it's one of the hardest.
We needed to test a roller that we designed to keep the chain tension. We had problems at previous meetings at Cadwell Park where the chain, when the suspension was unloaded coming over the mountain, that the chain would come off if the rider didn't quite get his line right. So that was a good test for us on Friday, and the roller seemed to work, so we decided to keep it on for the rest of the meeting.
Race 1.
Telephone, always talking on the telephone. Nothing's ever how it should be.
The majority of the teams have picked the same rear tyre, going fairly soft around here. It's a relatively gentle track. We've just been having a quick look at the skies to see what the weather's doing, but at the moment we're still out there on the slicks.
It's the morning after the night before.
There's a crash on the first turn. I think Steve Brogan and Chris Burns have gone down. Normal. Normal thing was we'll make a good start and damn pace cars out, but never mind, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Loving it. Fingers crossed.
Glen's in contention, he's lying in the fourth spot, so pretty tight up the front there. Dino's in a big scrap. In fact, Rutter's holding Dean up, that's the drawback. Dean's doing I-29s and he could do 29 flats, but there we go, he's just holding him up on the straight. He's a bit quicker on the straight, but otherwise not too bad at the moment. Fingers crossed. Not bad luck, thank God for that. Glen had an excellent first race. And for people that have been watching BSB will know that Lavilla and Haslam a little bit of coming together with a little stroke of luck on that last lap. And we got a podium there with Glen, so I was well happy with that.
Dean was 8th, I think. 8th or 9th. Not sure if he lost one of Dean or not. It's good. Happy.
First race was unbelievable. I mean, like Glen was lying 4th, looking quite strong, and the two Airways guys who were leading decided to have a bit of a coming together, which put Glen in 3rd position.
Glen had just tailed off a little bit. In fact, he had a bad lap, ran on the bottom of Mansfield, and old Iori Kanori was catching him up. All on the last lap this. The two Haslam went underneath Lavilla. They both went grass tracking. But as they came into view at the mountain here, Glen really wasn't in contention, but as he appeared out of Barn Corner, he was in 3rd spot.
It was alright. It was harder than what I wanted it to be, really. It would have been nice for it to be a little bit easy. It never is easy, I suppose. Just would have been nice to be able to do the times a bit easier. But see if we can make a few adjustments to make the bike a bit better for the next one.
Not quite the result I was looking for. I can run the pace of the front guys. I just got stuck in behind Michael Rudder on the HM Plant Honda and just didn't have the speed to be able to get past him, and I was stuck the whole race.
He just got held up, I think. People take some different lines to him, and we'll try and make a better second race, I think.
Checking, having a look for anything falling off or any fractures in any welds or anything like that.
Oh, I trust you. At least it's not in the bottom.
We're all right. We'll go. Ready to go. Race 2.
Quite a good start for Glen. We're 5 and 7 at the moment, first lap through, so fingers crossed now. Glen's 5th, Dean 7th.
Last lap, Glen's Dino's right on the tails. Last lap, mate, do or die.
Second race didn't quite go to plan. Both guys, in fact, last lap were together and on the back of a scrap for like 3rd spot. And Glen went for a bit of a do or die at the bottom of the mountain and unfortunately ended up on his backside.
In the last lap I clipped the curb. The curbs aren't very forgiving here.
The last lap at the bottom of the mountain went in just a little bit too hot, and just hit the curb slightly, which brought him off the bike.
Glen went for a do-or-die bottom of the mountain, evidently ran on. I don't know whether he actually fell off or just went a lot of grass tracking. Ended up in 15th place, 1 point, and Dean ended up 7th in the end, I think.
Dino came through for 7th in that one, so that was a good finish, really. Yeah, it's good.
All in all, apart from Glen's off, it was a decent weekend for us, really. We've got a few little things that we're doing to the motor for Open Park, so
You got it?
we might just surprise a few there, hopefully.
We got Alison Galley.
Just checking my clutch, Mike. Always check your clutch.
Spoken to so many people this year, a lot of promises, a lot of disappointment, and we do need another real 200 grand. We need to be testing.
I finished 10th, I think I finished, and that's, you know, not where I should be.
No idea. I don't know what to expect anymore.
You don't film water anymore?
Got off Friday morning in the wet. Glen got knocked off with Kia in the afternoon. I went home, made a cup of tea for the wife with a cook crap.
Out, I've done it up.